All right, hey everybody, what's going on? I just want to say hello to you, and it's very, very good to see everybody again. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School, and as you know, every Thursday we have Powernomics Thursday here on Dr. Boyce TV, where we get a chance to talk about Powernomics and everything Black, everything that's powerful, everything that's going to make us great, everything that's going to help us go learn about our future by learning about our past. And the person that I get a chance, the opportunity, the honor, and the privilege of speaking with every week on this topic is the one and only one of the great scholars, not just of our generation, but in American history, Dr. Claude Anderson, author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, and the Black History Reader. So I want to start by asking Dr. Anderson, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, very well. Just making it, just trying to figure things out like everybody else.
Okay.
Now,
Let me say good afternoon to all your listeners too across the country. You have a very substantial body of people that listen to you every week. I'm going to say good afternoon to them and recognize them.
all right, yes. So you all, thank you so much, and we should all recognize you. I want to say thank you all very much for your support, and what I remind them of, Dr. Anderson, every week is that this is the home for intelligent Black people. So I tell them, I say, if you ain't intelligent and Black, you might want to get the fuck out. So that's how we do things here. This is about being intelligent, about being Black, about looking for answers, finding solutions, executing those solutions, and having the courage to move forward and to think different and to do better and to stand up and to be strong and to demand what's ours and to build what belongs to us. I believe Black people can do anything, my mind will never be changed. Everybody, by the way, if you're watching, shout out your city right quick. Do the city shout out. And I'm gonna see which cities are in here. So Dr. Anderson, you might see them through the comments. Every now and then I might mention some of the cities that of people that come through. You'd be amazed. People are from all over the world, parts of Africa, every place from Atlanta to Shanghai, China to El Salvador. I see Toronto. What else do I see in here? I see some other cities. I see another Atlanta from Wanda. I see Orlando, Newman, Georgia, Oakland, California, Detroit, Monterey. I assume that's Canada. I see Kansas City. Justin says Kansas City, Tampa. Let me see, Oklahoma City, Inglewood. Sorry, I should have said Inglewood, Maryland, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pennsylvania, and a lot of other cities. And so welcome to everybody from around the world. Please hit the thumbs up button before we get started. And we're going to have a really good conversation. And I'm going to start the discussion here as we get a chance. Dr. Anderson is the star of the show. I want to hear what his opinion is on this. So Dr. Anderson, let me tell you about this little story I read about a young lady by the name of Haley Taylor Schlitz. Haley Taylor Schlitz, and you can actually see her image on the screen right here where she's making an appearance on Good Morning America. Haley Taylor Schlitz is 16 years old, and Haley did something pretty amazing. Haley actually got accepted into 9 law schools. That's 9. That you need both hands to count the number of law schools she got accepted into. I know people that can't get into one law school when they're 35 years old. This little 16-year-old girl got into 9 law schools. Now, Dr. Anderson, the reason that I'm launching the conversation off by telling you about Haley Schlitz is because Haley Schlitz, one thing that really stood out for me was she was not always a good student. Haley, talks about how her and all her siblings were struggling in school when they were going to the public schools and being taught by the white folks at school. Things were not going right. They were telling their family that your child doesn't have a lot of potential. They don't have, what it takes to be successful. They were telling her that she couldn't even exceed at the level of an average student. And what happened was, that was really fascinating. She says that after she saw that, after her mother saw and her father saw what was going on with the school system not supporting the children's development, and also after her parents saw how peer pressure, and you're talking about this is Black culture now. This isn't just, this isn't just white folks doing this, but peer pressure made her feel bad for being intelligent, made her feel like she was out of place, acting white, like she wasn't acting normal by being a good student. It started making her dumb herself down, right? And so when her parents saw that, what they did was they pulled her out of the school system. They pulled all her siblings out of the school system, and they started educating them on their own. And that's when they started taking off. Haley's 16. She's going to law school. I think that she's going to attend Southern Methodist for law school. Her 13-year-old brother is a freshman in college. Y'all hear that? A freshman in college. Her 11-year-old sister is a freshman in high school. And I didn't start high school till I was 14. Her brother's 11, or her sister's 11 starting high school. Her brother's 13 and he's a freshman in college. So my point on this, the reason I'm telling you this whole background story is it made me think about, like in your book, The Black History Reader, and you actually have a section in the book. You have a bunch of questions that are answered in your book that you say are not answered in typical history books, which is that they're not. And you talk about the history of Black education. Why, you know, a lot of this anti-intellectualism in the Black community didn't come from us. It did not come from us deciding we didn't want to be intelligent. It came from white folks and white supremacy pushing a narrative onto us that we are not supposed to be the smartest person in the room. We're not supposed to want to pick up a book. We should be ready to pick up a liquor bottle before we pick up a book. And I think that's connected to the destruction of the Black man, the Black woman, and the Black family all throughout the world, because in most situations, that little girl and her siblings never would have, you know, got pulled out of school, and they wouldn't be going to law school and all that. She might have grown up to be a stripper, like one, you know, like Cardi B, or maybe she would have grown up to become a, you know, somebody that picks up garbage for a living, or a waitress. But instead, because she was actually able to get away from the system, that's when the greatness started coming out. And that was my story as well. I was a terrible student in school. And it wasn't until I started finding myself that I started saying, wait a minute, I'm not meant to be this idiot. I'm not meant to be a dumb jock. I'm not meant to be the class clown. I'm not meant to be the dumbest person in the room. I'm supposed to be the smartest person in the room. And you don't see that in our culture. So I'd be curious to ask you, this is leading to a question. I just wanted to lay all out there for you so you can break it down. You talk on page 124 of the Black History Reader about a time where it was a criminal offense to teach Blacks to read and write. And you explain why it was a criminal offense. You explain why they didn't want Black people educated and why they didn't want Black people to embrace education, even if it was offered to them for free. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll try. You see, as I've indicated on numerous other occasions, that the primary purpose of racism is to try to make sure Black folk are non-competitive in all respects, in whether it's economics or education or political based. And so they do not want Black folk to be economically competitive with them, and nor educationally competitive with them. That goes all the way back to slavery. That's why when slavery first started, way back in the colonial period, they passed laws. And I've been one of the worst outspoken person about educating a Black person was a white elected official from South Carolina. He says that we're going to take all necessary means. This is a quote, you can use this one. He said, we're going to take all the necessary means to make sure that no light ever enters a Black man's mind, okay, or head for any reason. Now that's from a state elected official in South Carolina. That was the first thing he said. Take all necessary means to make sure no light ever enters. I could use another word, but I'm not going to use it. A jig's mind, okay, and his head. And so what they did, they enacted laws about education for Black folk. The laws were that it would cost you $100 in it, not whites. I mean, not Blacks, but whites. It'll cost you $100, Dr. Watkins, and 39 lashes with a whip in a public square to be caught teaching a Black person to read and write. Did you get that? It'll cost you $100 and 39 lashes, even if you were white, to be caught teaching a Black person how to read and write. That was a code that was set up at that point in time. And no Black could be taught to read and write or go to school. And to make it worse was that even all throughout the course of history, slavery, guess what? Black kids could not go to school and get an education to learn how to read and write. But in most of those colonies, they would charge a Black man $5 a year. Every Black man had to pay $5 a year to pay for a white kid's education, even though he couldn't go to school. I'm just telling, make sure you understand that. So they passed this law. So from slavery up until from the beginning of slavery in the 1600s all the way up to about 1865, that the education level of Black folk was this: 96% of all Black people in America could not read and write as a direct result of slavery. They could not read and write. It was against the law, against the code. And any Black person who sneaked around and figured out how to read and write, he had to stay on the low down. He could not let a white person know that. He could never let a white person catch him reading or give an impression that he could read and understand that what was going on. And this had a major impact just on the language system that Black folk developed, because nobody ever taught Black folk a language. You know how Black folk had to learn how to speak what you all might now call non-standard Negro dialect, a black language. You know where that comes from? is that they had to learn how to read and learn how to speak in reality to save his life. A white man would never teach him to read and write or to speak. But he says, if you can't understand what I'm saying, that's a death sentence for not doing it and obeying, even though we're not going to teach you the language. So black folk then learn how to speak what we call non-standard Negro dialect or black language by imitating the white man. That's why when he would see a white man talk, he said, well, now, you just would have moved that thing over there, boy. And that's how black folk learn how to speak, by imitating the whites. Because nobody taught a black man how to speak, or a black woman, but they put a death sentence on him if he could not understand what a white person is saying. Now you figure that out. How you tell him, you say, I'm not never teach you how to read and write and speak, but you damn sure better always understand me. And don't let me catch you reading and writing in any time. Now, what happened between 16 and 1600s and about 1866, that only 96% of black folk could not read and write. The free, who like about 200,000 who did escape slavery, they had learned how to some little basic language. So about 4% could do something. And that stayed like that until they were freed. But between 1866 and 1896, in that 30-year time period, I know somebody a little long drawn out to you on this, so
no, that's fine.
Okay, between 1866 and 1896, after blacks were freed from slavery, at that point in time, blacks were free to try to create their own education system. So what they did, a few blacks that had a little money who had been freed earlier, freed churches, and they started selling pies, flowers, and wood and coal to gather a little money to start building their own schools. And so at that time, only thing whites did, they set up a present-day school system. The present-day public school system was set up in response to blacks coming out of slavery. So here's the stupidity. I hear black folk going around supporting charter schools and private schools and parochial schools when those schools were always for whites. Blacks, they set up a public school system as it currently exists, strictly for black folks coming out of slavery. So between 1886 and 1896, black folk built their own schools, and by their own in-house teaching, they learned how to read and write in that 30-year period. They learned how, and they reduced their illiteracy rate. Now here's the record. Between 1866 and 1896, black folks set the world's record on academic and educational achievement. Going to get to your question, to the points you just made about this girl. And you listen to this now. Black folks set the highest academic achievement rate in the world between 1866 and 1896, where they had a 96% illiteracy rate in 1896. But in that 30-year time period, they reduced their illiteracy rate from 96% down to 41%. And the same time in 1896, about 20 million Europeans were coming into the country. They had a 96% illiteracy rate. But black folk outlearned the whites coming into the country as immigrants. And black folks set the record for academic achievement that far exceeded Asians learning and whites learning any place on the earth. So black folk right now hold the record, but most of them don't know it and don't push it. But what's happened is that black folk never got compensated for it. But for educational achievement, economic benefits are supposed to follow academic achievement, but it never followed blacks. So in that 30-year period when Europeans were coming into the country, they could not read and write. They came in as a management class over black folk. So black folk learned how to set the record for learning and achieving academically, but they never got the benefits. The whites coming into the country who were just as illiterate at that point, they got all the benefits. They came in to be the management class to oversee and manage black folk. So in the conclusion of my little topic now, so by 1950s, as an example, that a black person who had a college education could earn less than half of what a white high school dropout in the 1950s. So consequently, black academic achievement has never been followed with academic benefits, educational and financial benefits.
Wow. Everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson is the author of the books, Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. You should go check out his books, have those books for your family, because these are the most important books your children will ever read. Go to powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. Everybody who's watching, please do me a favor. Please stop what you're doing real quick. Please hit that thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please hit the thumbs up. Please hit the share button, hearts, likes, all those things in order to stimulate activity. That's what brings more people into the conversation. Our goal is to push intelligent black media throughout the world. That's our agenda. And so now you know. Now you know. We're trying to push intelligent Black media. We want to have intelligent conversations, and Dr. Claude Anderson is helping to lead the way on that. So, Dr. Anderson, let me